Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the series Military to Corporate Bridging the Gap. Well, when I was transitioning way back in 2006, 2007 from military to the corporate world, I still remember the companies were only offering us roles which were related to security and admin domains. And I was the first military veterans in my company to be hired in the HR vertical. Well, I can just say that I was lucky by, back then. Fast forward 2024, there has been a paradigm shift today. Now we see a lot of organizations and companies are aware of this pool of talent, and now they are offering roles in logistics, operations, projects, and technology as well. So today, we have called upon military veterans who have successfully transitioned to be tech leaders. So let's see who our panelists are today, and let me invite and introduce them. First, we have Major Tabish Raja. Tabish started his career with TCS as a developer, worked with TCS for a year, and then he joined the Indian Army. He wanted to serve the country. He joined Corps of Signals in the year 2012, was in the Army for about 10 years till 2022. Post his tenure in the Army, he joined Deloitte as Program Manager, Tech Dev and Ops. He's a PMP and Certified Scrum Master. Thank you, Tabish, for joining in today, and welcome to the session.
Thank you, Ripple. Thanks for that introduction, and thank you for having me here along with this esteemed panel here.
Thanks. Second panelist is Lieutenant Colonel Divya Puri. Divya is a BE in computer science, has about 13 years of work experience. She served in the Indian Army for 12 years in the Corps of Signals, was managing IT projects in the Army. She took release in March 2023, and presently she is Vice President at BNY and is managing projects for cyber vulnerabilities. Well, Divya, thanks for joining in and welcome to the session. Okay, so last but not the least, we have Major Sumukhi Mishri. Sumukhi has about 17 years of work experience. She served the Indian Army with the Corps of EME, now a decade in corporate world. Her journey in the corporate began with IBM. She has been at the forefront of numerous technology advancement, and currently she's a senior manager digital transformation at PwC. Thanks, Sumukhi, for joining, and welcome to the session.
Thank you, Ripple. I think it's absolute pleasure being here and talking to everyone. Thank you once again.
Great. So how this audience the session is going to be, I have few questions for them, and I'm sure audience out there, whether you are a transitioning veteran or you are from an organization, you will benefit from whatever they are going to talk about. So let's start with our questions. Let's start with, hey Tabish, let's start with you. I recently saw a post on LinkedIn about Deloitte USA. You had posted that launch a military veteran internship program. So can you tell us more about this program?
Yeah, sure, Ripple. So Deloitte this year has launched its pilot military veteran internship program. Mm-hmm. And it's a 16-week long structured internship program, which aims at onboarding around 20 veterans in all of the 4 practices that Deloitte US has, from tax, audit, consulting, and advisory. Mm-hmm. And since it's the pilot program launched by Deloitte, this time it's totally based out of the office. So all the veterans who are selected, they have to be in the office for 16 weeks, so that they have the right amount of cultural mix while working with the practice that they have been selected for. So this internship program, we received an overall overwhelming response this time, and we had a hard time, going through all the profiles that we received, and actually we were not seeing that we'll receive such a huge response in the first edition of this internship only. But it was encouraging to see that people are interested, that the veterans are interested in joining Deloitte for this internship program. And and as we speak, this program is being run out of our Hyderabad office.
Okay, so this is from the Hyderabad office, and all the people have to come in the Hyderabad office, you're saying?
Correct, yeah.
And how many veterans are we looking at, for this program, or we have looked at?
Yeah, so this time I think we have selected around 20 veterans. If I'm not wrong, there can be plus minus one, and probably going ahead from next year, probably we can increase, the number of veterans that we can have in this internship program, and it's a paid internship for the 16 weeks, and at the 16 week, you have to go through a regular interview process like we have for any of the people who join us for a full-time role. The plan is to assimilate, most of the people, most of the veterans who go through the program. But if unfortunately someone is not able to it, then you will be provided with a certification that you have done this kind of program with Deloitte for.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And this is the first time happening in India?
Yeah, this is the first time happening in India in Deloitte.
Wonderful, wonderful. Fantastic to hear that, Tabesh. We'll come over to you for the questions as well. So let's go to Divya. Divya, as a career coach, I have a lot of veterans or people who are still in the service. They come to me and say, we are transitioning. What should I do? And, should I do this course? Everybody is doing this certification. So I also would want to do that. And all the confusion, we all know that. Since you have transitioned it's just been 1.5 years back. So tell us, how did you decide about this particular tech domain? And then what kind of preparation did you do for your transition? You're on mute, Divya. If you can unmute yourself and speak.
Yeah, I'm really very sorry.
No problem.
Thanks for the question. So as already highlighted by you, so I took release from Army last year, March 23. And I served in the Indian Army for 12.5 years, and in the Corps of Signals, where I mainly worked on telecommunication, IT, cyber, and related projects. So when I decided to take a plunge from military to corporate, it was actually but natural for me to choose one of these domains, right? Since I've been working on these things from 12 years, especially on projects and cyber for good about 10 years. So to be honest, initially I was in a bit of dilemma to which field I want to get specialized into. Because both cyber and projects being my forte. So hence I decided first I should start with some certification, some courses to equip myself better for the corporate world. So I started with the cyber courses first. So in cyber, I finished my CC, that's certified in cyber security course. Then I completed my lead auditor course. So I also did diploma in cyber law. So, but that was more out of curiosity than to pursue the same. So this is how I started. For projects, initially I did not go for any course because I would say I was a little confident about the skill sets required for the project delivery. And also I got adequate amount of experience in Army working on that particular domain. So at the cost of sounding little pompous, I can now safely say that I was indicted when I got selected as a project manager in BNY Mellon. So that is how I prepared. I started preparing, say, about 2 years. I started preparing in 2021-20. When I actually decided, okay, it's I want to take release. So I started reading. I started focusing on the things that I am interested and I wanted to pursue. So what say, it's very, very important for you to choose your domain. So what I have noticed, people take release also, but still they are confused which domain I want to go into. So if you have time, good amount of time, you have 10, like you have 2-3 years before, you must start finding out your area of interest and just deep dive into it.
True.
Yeah.
You're
So,
actually correct, Divya, because this is one of the point which I also tell the military professionals, that start early. If you've already decided that, as you said, which you rightly did, you had 2 years, and then that's when you actually started doing your study in terms of what domain should I go, what skill set I have, where I have to upskill. I think that is so important first to find, where you want to go out there, and that's the right preparation. So tell me,
yes.
Divya, how did you prepare for the interview for, you did some mock interview for yourself, you wrote the questions, give those tips to the audience.
So for interviews, first thing, what I did, I started speaking to the veterans and to the civilian counterparts who are already working in corporate. So I just started speaking to a lot of people. That was the first thing I started doing, to know what exactly corporate is looking for, which skill set they are looking for. Like for me, it was project and cyber. So I started speaking to the people who are actually working in these two fields. So projects, what kind of project delivery is there in corporate? How is it different from military? What are the latest technologies going on in cyber security, and what are the tools we are using outside to have these cyber security measures implemented? So this was the first step I think everybody is required to be taking, so that we are aware what is happening outside, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is so very important, because I still remember I used to shy away at that time I'm talking about, to take help from It used to be like an obligation. Am I taking an obligation from somebody? If I'm asking, raising a hand, I say I don't know. But now I know that power of networking is immense, right? Thanks for that. So let's go to Sumukhi. Sumukhi, you're a decade in corporate now. You have been part of veteran hiring program in various companies. So talk about these programs. What are these programs all about?
Rimble, thanks for asking that question. I think it's a great one. And I'm sure my response today would assure most of us on call today that there are a lot of drive towards veteran hiring across the organization. So some of the organizations that I have worked with, one thing that stands out is the various initiatives to recognize the importance of D&I in workplace and the significant stride in various veteran initiatives. So the aim is not just to provide opportunities, but to empower community to find their space and cooperate and make them truly inclusive of larger ecosystem that we all are part of. So if I have to mention the initiatives, I think some of them would be common across the board, and few to mention is the foundation programs for veterans. So under these initiatives, various problems are identified within the veteran community regarding the lack of knowledge on building a corporate-ready resume, understanding the corporate jargons, preparing the interview panels for understanding the kind of interview questions to be asked. So now to address some of these issues with a sense of giving back to the community, a resume building workshop were held to various locations, and we had a significant response with a lot of external individual registering for the workshop. I think that was a great success, and it was really good to see more number of people coming forward and trying to understand, what is it that they can do or change in their resume to make it corporate ready. This is one of it. In collaboration with the campus teams, we have been able to make a remarkable impact by assisting the veteran batch of various IMs, IFTs in transitioning from military to corporate world, when we have veterans sharing their journey, talking about some of the challenges and ways to overcome those. So as I said, the aim is not just to provide opportunities, but to empower our community. And it's so wonderful to see that, all of us, we start at the same starting point, and then we all have the same journeys, same hurdles, same initial struggles to talk about. And I think if we hear them carefully, we embed them in our lives, we make a practice to follow those, I think we are right there on the track.
True. So Vicky, I just wanted to ask, following question on that itself, when you talked about, so what are some of the initial challenges did you guys face when you were launching this program?
Again, a brilliant question, Rimple, I would say you. We, within our organizations, we have held a community to, these are set of veterans amongst, from Navy, because the jargons are different in Indian Armed Forces, Armies, Navies, and Air Force. So how do these interview panels understand what the interview questions should be asked, and how do they understand it? What is it that they read from the resumes, and how do they convert them within the positions in the organization? How do they replicate it? Where do they place them? So this community within the organization to understand, to help civilians to understand these jargons, to the fit place for the veterans, I think this is really important, because then if you look at the resume, I am talking about back then when I started 10 years ago, it made absolutely no sense when I said, using my Indian Army jargons, and none of them actually understood it. True. So you need to convert them. I think we do so much. It's just about converting those languages, those activities, the duties that we have held to the corporate jargons. That's it.
Wonderful. On the same lines, M2C also, because I'm part of the training team. So we go and do awareness session. So I was also in one of those sessions, which I was taking for one of the corporates, where they also wanted to, launch this veteran hiring program. And, after the feedback which we got was that we didn't know that these were some of these challenges if we have to hire them. And they didn't even know that, okay, there are certain other domains also which we can look at. The veterans, they were only limited to saying, hey, maybe security, admin, and max, maybe HR. But they didn't know maybe, technology also has veterans. And that was an eye-opener for them. And then we talked about that, even if you don't understand the resume, just pick up a phone, 2 minutes of talk with them, and then, you will know what their caliber is. And that's one of the awareness program we also do. Thanks, Somiki, for answering that. Let me come to Divya. Divya, I have another question for you. You are VP Tech in BNY, but tell us something more about your role, especially for the veterans out there. Whenever am I speaking to somebody and then I say, "Are you interested in technology role?" They'll say, "No, Rimple, I cannot do coding." And I say, "No, I'm not talking about coding. I'm talking about technology roles." And then there is a big question mark. What are the different roles? I thought technology means coding for me. So tell me about, tell us about your role. What is that this role is all about?
Okay, so as I said earlier, so my main areas of focus were project management and cyber. So as a specialist project manager, my major role is twofold. First is vulnerability management, and other is product upgrade. So I was fortunate enough to get the role of project manager also, and I'm handling cybersecurity also.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So I'll first deep dive into vulnerability management. So vulnerability management involves, it basically involves first prioritizing your vulnerabilities, getting the remediation plans from the application teams, checking them, and finally supporting them in getting them mitigated, right? So in order to be successful to meet the above challenges, you first need to have a lot of knowledge. You need to have in-depth study about the work in hand, and also the application life cycle. And the most important part, I think, is you need to know the stakeholders who all are involved at each step. So that is one of the main things about the vulnerabilities that I'm handling. And one more important skill I think is very much required in this field is social skill. To execute that balancing act of keeping all the stakeholders on good terms while also pushing them to get the things done. So it is not that core cyber security, nothing like coding and all. But yes, you have to have social skills. You have to have that tact to get your work done. And second part I'm handling is product updates. So at the beginning of every year, I get a list of products. Okay, this is the list of applications that are in scope, that these applications, they need to undergo upgrades in this year with specified dates. So just to say here again, knowledge of those applications, it requires again a lot of study, and constant touch with the application teams is actually inescapable, because without that knowledge, you cannot foresee the next step as a project manager, right?
True.
So I'm not, if I'm not sure of the procedure, then there's a likelihood of oversight, because application teams are busy in their work. The work I'm doing might not be a priority for them. So this involves a lot of study, communication, and chasing the application teams and all the stakeholders involved. So you are a layer between the application teams and the stakeholders, and you are the one who is making all these people as a team and getting the things done, right? So so to summarize, I would say this role requires both these things require common set of skills, which I think it's require a lot of diligence, a lot of in-depth knowledge, then a lot of communication, and finally you have to be little diplomatic. You have to learn certain tactics to get all these things done. Because this is something we just cannot afford to have breaches in this case, since this is cyber security. So this is sort of diligence here.
True. So I think great points, Divya, you brought about, especially when you're talking about, business acumen, which that's what I also talk about. Knowing the business itself, knowing the product itself is so very important. Even as HR, in my company, it was so important for me to know exactly the product and the business they were into. Otherwise, even as supporting as a HR BP, it doesn't make sense if I didn't know the business, right? So a great points which you brought. And yes, I agree, in the corporates, it's just not like black and white like in the military. There are a lot of shades of gray. So how you tactfully do the speaking, communication, that makes a lot of difference. Thanks for answering that. And let's come to, I have a question for Tabish. Tabish, you're a program manager, tech dev and ops. So what would your guidance be or advice to the veterans who are looking at making a career in technology?
All right, thanks, Ripple. I think that's a great question. And I like, this is something that you're asking me now. I think I almost close to a dozen veterans every week who ask me the same question.
Okay.
So I think one of the biggest myths we have already addressed, that tech is just coding, right? So tech is coding. And I think a lot of people out there are scared, like whenever they listen to what tech, like if I'm hired for tech, I'll just go into that organization and I'm working on either Java or .NET or Python, maybe all these.
True.
So a developer is just a very small cog in the wheel in the overall tech organizations. I think other than that, there are a lot of other supporting roles, or a lot of other leadership roles which are also associated in technology. And to name a few, I think we already addressed that, and we have already named that, while you were speaking to Divya ma'am. So we have profiles such as project managers, we have profiles such as product managers, we have some supporting roles such as QA, we have a lot of roles these days in cloud, we have a lot of roles these days in cybersecurity, we have a lot of opportunities in data analytics. So I think as a veteran, if you're looking to make a career in technology, I think the most important thing is to stay abreast with technology, right? And also to identify the niche that you want to make your career in, right? It's very important to identify that niche early on, right? So like like I know a couple of veterans who are very confident as developers and they wanted to make their career developer, and one of them is my course mate. So if you think that you have a flair for coding, right? So start with some certifications from early on with which you can demonstrate that you have that kind of expertise. And why should an organization hire you, right? To probably as a Java developer, and have some projects handy with which you can demonstrate your expertise in this technology. So that is one. Second thing I think is it's very important to like I said, it's very important to start preparing early on and identify the right certifications that you can do to again demonstrate your expertise in technology. So, for example, if you're trying to make your career in cloud, so identify certifications which AWS has to offer or which Azure has to offer in cloud, and do those certifications that and I'm someone who has done these certifications, and these certifications have really helped me land the role that I am in today. So I think that was two. Third thing that I advise everyone and I tell everyone to do before transitioning is network like crazy, right? So and you know in today's world, I think no matter how much we stress upon networking, I think
Yes.
it's not enough. And even once you land in an organization, it's very important to network in an organization as well. So, for example, in Deloitte, we are told every day to network. And so first you have to network to land a job, and once you land a job, I think you have to network to to find new projects, find good opportunities within the organization only because that's how the consulting world works, or probably the technology. So I think that would be my third advice, is to network like crazy and start networking early on. It can be networking with the some of your seniors who have already left, and they are already in those roles which probably you are eyeing at, or probably you go to LinkedIn, find someone. So for example, I used to do that. I would just randomly stalk people on LinkedIn, and if I find someone who's a probably a program manager at Amazon, I would just ping that person.
True.
And ask for like just like, how is your day as a program manager?
Correct.
And sometimes I would get a response, sometimes I would not get a response, but that would not stop me from stalking some other.
True.
So yeah, I think that would be my third advice.
So Tabish, tell me, how did you prepare for the interview? Like I asked Divya, how did you prepare for the interview?
Preparing for the interview is again a very tricky thing, right? So I think there are a lot of resources these days that can help you prepare for the interviews. So for example, if you're preparing for the consulting interviews, you just type on Google, right? How to prepare for the consulting. For the consulting interviews, you have these frameworks, that will help you with the case studies, right?
Correct.
So I think the first thing is go online, exhaust all the resources that are at your disposal to prepare for your interviews. The second thing, I think, which Sumukhi ma'am already addressed, is to throw out all the jargons, all the courses jargons that you have in your resume, out of your resume, right? And just make it as simple as you can for the person, right? And it's very important to map the experience that you have while you are in your courses to the profile that you're interviewing for. I think
that's important.
Key things to crack for an interview. So that's what I did, and I spoke to a couple of people who have already transitioned, who had already transitioned, and I asked them, how did you do that? And so I listened to all of the advices, and one thing that I really started doing very early in my career when I wanted to transition was that I really, in and out of my resume of what I have put in my, of what are the projects that I can sell, for this position, right? So it is very important to identify your core competencies, right? And the role that you're looking for, you have to be you have to thoroughly go through that job description that
Absolutely.
is given to you, and prepare accordingly for that interview.
Absolutely. What great points, Tabish. And that's what, when I'm coaching people and I'm telling the same thing. See, if the JD is asking for apples, don't give oranges in your resume. It will not work for you, right? And if you say, no, I want to put all my postings on the resume, hey, it doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
So I think great points from Tabish. So, Magi, I have a question for you. Earlier, you mentioned about this veteran hiring program and how successful, but I've seen that not all the organizations are kind of wanting to go. They're still hesitant at looking at this talent, apart from the the so-called the mid security and the facility admin roles. So since you've experienced this, you have led those programs and it has been successful. So what would be your message to the companies, organizations who are yet to tap this talent?
Brilliant question again, Rimple. I think if I have to talk about the hurdle that you just mentioned, I think for organizations, and many of them which have been part of myself, they struggle to understand where should be the best fit of armed forces veteran into my organization. So again, I've seen firsthand, but my point to them would be uh, the incredible impact that veteran can get onto the business is beyond my words. Their contribution can go beyond the bottom line. So they enhance our cultures, strengthen our team, drive our success, and I can go on and on. So I think it's all about recognizing the value of veteran talent and making it cornerstone for our workforce strategy. And let this connect today be a call for action for all who really intend embracing veteran as talent. So if I have to list down, and here's top three as in why the organization should embrace veteran hiring, and or something that something that is so embedded in our DNAs is the leadership and the teamwork. Veterans are trained to lead the team, make critical decisions under pressure, and work in diverse environments. So these are the qualities which are so essential for any organization aiming to build a strong and cohesive team. Another strength I would like to mention is the strong work ethics and integrity. And we all would agree to the deep sense of duty, discipline, and ethical responsibility that we possess. Veterans bring these commitments to the civilian roles, ensuring they are approached every task with different dedication and integrity. So, and these qualities do stand out from the civilians. Last but most impactful, I would say, is adaptability and problem solving. Veterans are accustomed to work in dynamics of high stake environment, different terrains, different environment, and they excel at adapting to changing circumstances. That's something that's something which we are taught in every postings that we receive, right? Thinking of thinking on their feet and finding creative solution to the complex problems. So these are some of the skills that are invaluable in today's space business world. You will not get these qualities anywhere. So if there's anyone on the call, if you remind yourself or think, what is it that I bring on the table? There are so many things. So don't underestimate yourself. I think what we learn from being part of a defense forces is truly valuable, and it's a fundamental base that any organization should have. So it's really taking the first step for every organization. If your organization has not yet tapped into the veteran talent pool, I think this is the time to take an action. Start by understanding the unique strength that veteran brings on the table and consider how these align with the organizational needs.
Absolutely. I think great point you brought that, Chamaki, because I still remember, somebody asked me, the Bollywood has made the image of military that is so rigid, right? And I said, no, they're very flexible. They said, no, but I thought they were I said, discipline and rigidity is very different. I said, imagine yourself every 2 years, you are going to a new role. You do not know what kind of role you're going to get, which place you're going to go, bosses, the whole environment is going to change. And every 2 years we have to. So I said, we go, adapt, and then we perform. I said, how do you say that we are not flexible? So I think, yeah, right. So that
right from my team to my senior leadership, I go back and mention them, you know what, we see change every 2 years and maybe less than that. We adapt ourselves. So that is the flexibility I'm talking to and, trying to bring on the table. And they get amazed to see that,
Yeah, yeah. And that's a great point you brought. And I was also telling somebody saying that here, you know what, the kind of environment we live in, maybe you have studied in a case study or a stimulation, we live in that environment. And that's why you should hire this kind of a talent who has the experience to live in that kind of environment, because their appetite to take a risk is very, very high, and they can perform very well in, under pressure. I think we had a fantastic discussion on this. Thank you so much, panelists, for coming for this discussion. I really enjoyed our discussion. So before we end, I will request each one of you to give some leaving notes for the participants. So let's start with Divya. Divya, how about a few lines to all the audience out there?
So I would say first, once you have decided that okay, you want to take release, just start preparing yourself for the corporate world. Select your domain. That is the most important thing. Choose your domain, whichever field you want to go into. Just develop your skill set on that. That is the most important thing I feel when we have to go into the technical field. Second thing I just want to tell is about your resume. So it's okay to get your resume prepared, but like Tabish said, we need to map our resume with the work that we have done in Army. So that is the first step that you need to do. You should be doing it yourself. Then that jargons and language that we can always change. But that resume first, second, third draft, you need to prepare yourself, because after that only you can give it to somebody and they can help you it or refine it. But that's the first step that you need to do it. So these two things I think are very, very important: courses, certification, your domain, and your resume. So these three things I would say are the most important things, are the first steps I would say to start preparing for your next career.
Wonderful, wonderful points, Divya. Tabish, a few lines to the audience before we close the session.
I think I was thinking of a different line, but I think after the point that Sumukhi ma'am made, I would just like to pivot a little bit. So I think my first advice would again be on the lines of prepare well, right? Start working on your resume early, and identify the area where you want to build your career. And I think it's very important to for veterans to learn is to start selling yourself. So the kind of skills that we have, which Sumukhi ma'am already listed out, right? The ability to think under pressure, right? The ability to be flexible, the ability to take decisions under pressure. These are some of the skills that you acquire over time in service, and these are some of the skills which are not trainable, right? All the other skills are trainable, right? So you want to work on a tool, it's trainable. You can do that in 6 months. You want to work on a technology, it's trainable. But these are some of the skills that you acquire over time. So by the virtue of being in the process, so learn to sell yourself well, in those interviews. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great point, Tabish, from you. Let's go over to Sumukhi. Sumukhi, last few lines for the audience out there.
Actually, many, but I'll just keep it limited to 3 of it. I think I hear veterans day in, day out. On the other side, be proud of what you are, the learnings that we had. Do not ever say, I am not fit for the role. You would definitely be if you're interested. If you put your mind to it, you can definitely do it. So do not underrate yourself. And that's the first thing that I would say. Do not start with negative statements, and do not ever feel that they are doing some kind of favor to you by by taking you inside the corporate. That's not the case at all. We bring a lot of value and work. Second would be, please embrace technology. It's no wizardry. it's no rocket science. So start with the basic courses that are available in the market today. So we have Microsoft as a website. The moment you log in there, you have 30 minutes of courses. We talk so much about Gen AI today, the prompt engineering today. If you hear these courses, if you don't understand it once, you can definitely repeat and then see how easy it becomes true. So there are so many positions that you can apply to. Gen AI is fresh in the market today. Just a couple of courses and there you are in. Third is, please do look at your resumes once they are out in the pool. Do not put any statement or any such guidance that, that is not well understood and well taken. I think these are the 3 points that I would want to bring on the table today.
Wonderful. Wow, I think we have come to the end of the panel discussion. Thank you so much, panelists, for joining today. So I think if I have to summarize for the audience out there, the message which we are getting for the veterans is that prepare, prepare, and prepare. Prepare well, know your domain, know what you want to do some certifications, get your resume ready, and prepare for the, whatever you are targeting. And the message to all the organizations out there is this is an amazing pool of talent, right? You just need to tap this talent. They are ready-made talent. And when I tell people that, believe me, these people have been selected by one of the finest selection process, and it's just not an interview. It's a 5 days long process, and they've been trained in one of the finest institutes in the world. So they are your ready-made talent out there. And if you want to know more about how do I launch this veteran program in my organization, M2C is definitely there to help you out. Please write to us at info@military2corp.com, and we'll be happy to help you out to launch this program. Thank you once again, audience, for joining us today for this amazing session. This was the episode 3 of the series Military to Corporate, Bridging the Gap. And thank you once again, Tabish, Sumukhi, and Divya. Bye for now. See you guys for the next session next month. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.